Hello everyone. In this lesson what we're going to do is focus mainly on the hands and maybe some of the other shapes of the body. Now just remember that this is the Dynamesh phase, and I'm just going to hide that skeleton there. This is the Dynamesh phase, and in this phase what we're going to be focusing more on is the general shape of things. We're not going to go into too much detail. Surface details, scales, those sorts of things will come later. Right now what we need is the topology. We need the basic sort of shapes that the body is going to take. Now I probably shouldn't have turned that transparency off, because I want to talk about this hand here. The position of the bones puts the index finger and the middle finger very closely together, and you can see that that is causing some of that webbing, or sort of the bubblegum effect that they talk about, coming across the between the fingers here. And also we are getting a little bit of a collapse here in the hand, but that's probably just because these this blocking out follows the bones a little bit too closely, so we can just sort of bring that out. But what I'm going to actually do is move this finger out to the side here, which means that it won't line up with these bones anymore. The reason that I can do that is that when we bring it back into Maya, we can then just take the basic poly shape and realign it with the skeleton. And when we do that, all of our deformations, all of our surface details are going to follow the geometry. So it's not too much of a problem that we're going to misalign or unalign this to the skeleton. So having said that, I'm just going to go back to solo mode, and I'll just come in as close as I can on this hand, and I'll come in with the move brush and just sort of just get rid of that webbing as much as we can. Now I won't remesh at the moment, because if I do, it'll just re-web that hand. So what I will do is now that we've got that space there between them, I'm just going to come in with the rotate, and hopefully this will work. I'll give us a little bit more space. So if we, holding down Control, draw out the mask for that finger, it looks like I might just manually mask off those other fingers. Hopefully not get any masking on the finger that we have unmasked. In fact, what I'll do is I'll turn off perspective, line it up, and draw out a square mask like that. Let's see how the inside looks. Okay. And then we can come in and hopefully we don't have any mask spilling onto the inside of that finger there. Okay, so if we go back to our rotate tool, and rotating from this knuckle, yeah, we've got some of the mask spilling onto the inside of that finger there. So what I'll do is, if I turn off my or go to rotate on all axes then I might be able to line this up a little bit better, like so. If I hold down Control and Alt in draw mode, hold down Control and Alt, and unmask like that, making sure that we've only got the other finger in the background there. You can see that we have caught some of the thigh here. So just need to make sure that we mask that out. And if we try again with our rotate, still getting some. So I'll just see if I can use the mask lasso tool, which is what a smarter person would have probably used right from the start. And try it now. There we go. So we're just going to rotate that finger out so that it's nice and relaxed. And we've got some sort of moving polygons there, but that's okay. The smooth tool will take care of that. So now if we go back and unmask, smooth that out. I won't smooth that because it'll just pop back into place. If I re-Dynamesh now, you can see that that webbing is not a problem anymore, or not as much of a problem. Now with Dynamesh, just remember that it isn't exactly symmetrical, so you may get some sort of differences between one side of your mesh and the other. And if that happens, you can always do a manual re-mirroring. Now we're going to try and sort of fix up this collapse of flesh on the hand there. Okay, so we're getting a better shape here. Now this hand, and I'll go back to perspective because I prefer working in perspective mode. Now this hand, whilst humanoid and is sort of mapped on a human skeleton, we are doing a reptilian character, and so you can be creative if you're doing a non-human humanoid character and come up with some sort of something that makes it different to just a regular sort of gloved hand. Just sort of get rid of some of that collapsing there. What I might do is actually go to my tools, or would it be brush? Yes, brush, smooth, and smooth stronger. And that will just sort of make it so that it takes slightly less strokes. But just remember the intensity will be quite sort of high on that. Right, that's my masking. So just bring that down. That's still a little bit sort of a little bit overzealous. That's right for now. Okay, so I'll come in with the inflate tool, I think, just to build out some of this this shape. And what I'm thinking is sort of a very heavily knuckled but skinny finger boned sort of hand. So with that sort of that shape, looking better. We'll come in with the clay build-up and see what we can do with this. This can be why it's a good idea to learn as much about anatomy as you can, because you can learn the bones, you can learn where the tendons are going to be, and all of these add to the sort of suggestion of things. I'm just going to swap back to the regular smooth now. Okay. And I think, yeah, I might do these knuckles. Now, getting these knuckles in the right place is going to be fairly important, but always remember that once we've sort of meshed this, and we've got a basic mesh, we can move the sort of the large coarse details around in Maya to line back up with the bones. So don't stress too much about it. Don't get discouraged and feel like you've ruined your model because you've got the knuckles in the wrong place, because that's easily fixed. And definitely try not to get discouraged when you're modeling. Now this thumb has been a bit of a problem for a while now. Unfortunately, the bone sort of seems to come down this way, but again, we can reline that up when we've got more of a decent shape to it. And so I'm just going to come along and put these knuckles on the back of the thumb here. Remeshing. You can see we are sort of losing a lot of that detail when we remesh. And those of you using 4R5, ZBrush 4R5, you will be at a greater advantage here, because the algorithm that they use for smoothing and for dynameshing, and the general sort of fidelity that you get with the dynameshing in 4R5 is much better. Unfortunately, because I'm using an old version of Windows, my tablet doesn't register with 4R5. It's because I'm using Windows Vista, which a lot of people complain about, but I've had it for 4 years now, and I haven't had to format my hard drive, which I've had to do with every previous version of Windows. Like 97, 95, XP, all of them, after about a year and a half, it just stopped working and you have to reformat your hard drive. And I haven't had that problem with Vista, even though a lot of people are like, oh, Vista's terrible. But yeah, I sort of feel like if it isn't broke, don't fix it. But now that my tablet isn't working, maybe it is broke. Maybe I do need to get into the 21st century, or further into the 21st century. Now, that thumb looks weird, but remember, this isn't going to be a fully human character. So don't worry about that, because these fingers aren't going to end here either. We're going to be drawing claws out. But you can see that our hand is getting a lot more interesting. It's looking a lot more A lot more alien and a lot more natural at the same time, because we have got these details. And the details that we've got are based on more sort of real world anatomy. It looks like even with that scribbling of the masking, it still sort of brought that forward. Okay, so in the next lesson we're going to continue on with these hands and the basic shapes of our Dynamesh model.